You are watching Business Heroine TV for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. Join the Business Heroine community today at businessheroinemagazine.com. And now, tune into the show.
Welcome, I'm Ann Perry, founder of Business Heroine, and I can't wait for you to meet our special guest today, Mikki Kingrey. So Mikki is the founder of Real Results Mentoring. She supports women in business, that's entrepreneurs, coaches, women in corporate, who are driven, successful, passionate, and purposeful to create the life that they want so they can be in their business in a way that feels good, instead of operating from the all too common place of fear, stress, guilt, overwhelm, and anxiety. She guides her clients to take their businesses to the next level according to their version of success and to find a balance unique to their own desires between work and home. How awesome is that? Thank you, Mikki, so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear your story, and I would love to just jump in right there. What's your unique path that you took for finding entrepreneurship?
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting path, that's for sure. I've always had an entrepreneurial bug to me, so I've always loved that idea of being on my own, coming up with the ideas and being able to make that change take place. But my path actually started in the corporate world. So I have been in corporate for, I don't even want to say, like 20 years probably. And along the way, when I had my first child, I realized that I really wanted to have more flexibility. I really wanted to be able to be with her more. And it really gave me that light to be able to, get something going and figure it out. And so that was really what started things. And from there, it was not, a straight line path. This is clearly the answer. It started with me becoming a yoga teacher and a craniosacral therapist and a health coach and a parent coach, kind of finding my way to what it is that is, the work that I feel now in my truth, I guess, that I'm meant to bring into the world. And so now knowing what that looks like and what that experience was, it's helped me to really step into what that work is, which is serving other women who are trying to find what their path might be.
Yeah, awesome. And I know in your story, or what you do is you support women in coming up with their own version of success. And I really love that, because it is so easy to fall into overwhelm and anxiety and just be on this adrenaline, rush forever. And that isn't necessarily what real success is. Have you had personal experience with that in your own path?
Yes. Absolutely, yes. It's been kind of an ongoing, I like to think that when you're creating your own definition of success, it's something that you continue to evolve over time. It's not stagnant. Mm-hmm. And so when I first had my daughter, it was, I was a director of an e-commerce company and managed a team. And so I had responsibilities and I really was looking for the balance. And I know everybody says balance, but I really wanted to be with her more. Yeah. And what I found was, sitting in the mother's room, pumping and crying my eyes out because I wanted to be with her, right? And then leaving and feeling guilty that I was leaving to go home at a normal time, and then feeling guilty when I would leave to come in the morning. And that was that wasn't working. So at that moment, my definition of success was work 4 days a week, and be able to feel good about leaving in the morning and coming home, making a good income to take care of my family, of course. But it was really about what do I need in my whole life to be able to have success. Now that I have 3 children and I've left the corporate world and I have my own business, and so to me now success looks like something different. And over the summer it looked like something different because I got to have a lot of time with my kids and play, and that was really important to me. So as I have, come along this way, it keeps changing. And now as my littlest one starts to go to school, it's going to continue to evolve. So I really believe that it's all about what is it that you want at this moment, And then when you get really clear on that, then everything else starts to align behind that. And it's not always so easy to just know what you want. It seems like it should be, but it takes a little digging to be able to figure that out.
Yeah. That's an amazing, I've never really heard it put that way before. I really like that concept of having an evolving concept of what success is. And perhaps clarity to what you want. I have a feeling that if you just allow your version of success to evolve and just give it permission to change and be an organic thing, that might help us tap into what we want. Because it's like, okay, well, I'm allowed to change my mind. And maybe what was important this summer when there was all this playtime and kids is different than in the fall when everyone's at school and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would love to hear from you, in your own experience, how your emotions have been a guide for you in business and in life.
Yeah, it's interesting when I started to really pay attention to what I wanted. It wasn't because I just had this great idea of like, oh, I should figure that out. It was because it started from this place of stress and anxiety that I had in my body. It was just kind of like in my core, in my gut. And it seemed normal to me. It was just the way that it was, but it didn't feel good. And as I started to become more curious about that experience or about that feeling, I used to live from a place of shutting that off. That used to be the way that I worked. I like to now think of myself as a walking head. I was just not connected to the rest of my whole self. And as I started to become more aware of what I was actually experiencing in my body, it actually turned out to be this really amazing gift to be able to help me to understand what I actually needed. So then the stress and anxiety wasn't something that I needed to shut down. It was something I needed to get curious about and start to look at what is it really trying to tell me? What is it that I'm really needing? And from there, that was when the path to kind of starting to get clarity around what I wanted started to get more crystallized. And the part that was so much of a shift for me was to start to look at what I actually want instead of what I think other people think that I should want. Or what they might want for me, or what seems like that should be good enough, right? You work in a great job, you've got your family, everything is good, right? But it didn't feel good. And so I could have just shut it down, continued to shut it down and just been good, right? But that wasn't enough anymore. I was ready to feel really good in my whole self.
So powerful, because you hear all the time people who say, I should be happy. Why am I not happy? I've got the this, the that. I've got the house, the job, the kids, the beautiful home, the hot husband. Why am I not happy? And I love that. I love that concept of not shutting it down, but actually getting curious about it. That's really well put. That's awesome. So there's a concept that I often talk about in entrepreneurship, and especially this sort of heart-centered entrepreneurship, the world that you and I live in, which I call your wake-up call for the world. It's like if you could shake the world by the shoulders and say, like, wake up, like it's this really important message. I'm curious what it is that you stand for. What is it that you stand for in the world?
So if I could just make something change forever, it would be having women fully and completely step into accepting, allowing, receiving, letting it be okay that they want something, whatever it is. And it doesn't matter if it looks like it should be enough, or it doesn't have to feel like you're not grateful for what you already have because maybe you want something more or different. It just is. It's just part of who we are in this world. Like, we are here to want something, and that doesn't have to be something material. It gets to be something beautiful and meaningful if we allow it to be, and it can always be better. And I feel like when we open ourselves to the concept that it can always be better, even if it's already great, it can always be better, then magic just keeps on happening. And so that is what I would love, is to just have women fully and completely step into that possibility.
I love that. You're allowed to want something, and it can always be better.
Yes. Exactly.
Which, if you really think about it, is kind of our nature, right? Like, we're expansive beings, and as soon as we think like this is the goal, and as soon as we get there, there's something else on the horizon, because we can't help. It's like this constant unfolding. So just to allow that to be, and to just go, ooh, how much better could it even get?
Yes. And I like firmly in my whole self believe that as I, or as, a mom or a woman in this world, that the more that I do the work for myself and I really get clear in how I can step into that completely for myself, then I feel like I'm creating this like express path for my kids to be able to jump ahead of having to dig through all the expectations and beliefs and things that other people put onto them, so that the more that I'm living completely in my, reality of who I really am and letting go of all the other pieces, the more easily it'll be for them to do that. And they get to just step into that from the very beginning, instead of having to wait until they're 30 or 40 to go through their little mini early midlife crisis to discover it for themselves. So I feel like I'm doing the work for myself and I'm doing the work for my kiddos.
I love it. I'm just seeing the world. I mean, imagine if all the women owned that and took that, and then the kids, not having to just go through the forgetting and re-remembering, but just knowing all along.
Yes. So beautiful.
Yeah, it is so beautiful. Well, the work you're doing is evolving the planet, so thank you.
Thank you.
So what do you see is the biggest opportunity for women entrepreneurs in their business?
So, I think we can get so caught up in all of the steps and the how-tos and, all of the things that we should be doing. And what I really feel is the biggest opportunity is to get clear on what you want and to be able to start from a place of curiosity about what you're feeling and what you're needing, and allowing that to take you into discovery of what you actually want. And when you know that, then you can more clearly start to take action to create that. And it's different for every person. So, steps and paths and things are great, and they help people be able to discover, does this feel right? Does this feel right? And try things out. But at the end of the day, we really have to connect into what's true for us. And then the success comes from that. I believe that the success in your business comes from that place. And when you start to let go, I see it show up a lot. It did for me, where you experience all of the stress and the anxiety or the guilt or whatever those feelings are that you're having, and they may feel like they're helping you to create the success in your work, but then it's actually showing up at home, and it's getting in the way of your relationship, or it's getting in the way of how you're interacting with your children. And the success actually, I believe, comes from tuning into that stress instead, and then letting it come from there. And so when we get clear about what we want, then the success part gets to be so much easier and much more effortless.
Yes, and magical.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think I totally agree with you. I'm so on the same page with that. And it's even on the work side, though, if we think that this like hustling sort of constant hustle, stressy vibe is getting us ahead in work, it's almost an inefficient way to do that, because as you were speaking, this little image of a bicycle and the different gears kind of popped in mind. If you're in the wrong gear, you're just like spinning your wheels, and you're going there, but you're not being efficient. And so, I'm so on board with you. It's like, if we just first of all accepted that what we desire is actually possible, like starting from there, and then getting clear on what is it that we desire, what is it we want, the rest can, so it's just logistics, right? It falls into place. And
exactly.
Yeah.
It does to feel effortless. And it doesn't, there's a lot of beliefs out there that it has to be hard. And it really doesn't.
Yeah. So I'm curious, actually, speaking of that, because I can see myself in this too. I went through similar thing, and I would have said, well, I don't believe it has to be hard. I believe it should be able to be easy. However, my experience was not supporting that, because it just was hard and it just felt hard. I'm like, I believe it shouldn't be hard, but why is it? Do you have any kind of insights on how to bypass that restrictive belief?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like you just said the word, right? There's beliefs that they're causing us to have certain experience, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that is the place to get curious. I think curiosity is the best place to start with anything. When you start to see yourself having an experience that you don't want to continue to be having, starting to get curious about, I wonder, what is this trying to tell me? What is it trying to teach me? What can I learn from this experience? And then instead of focusing so much on what you don't want, what is it that you would like to have happen instead? Mm-hmm. And that's really where you start to get that clarity around, because you can start very much from a place of, I don't know, what I have is fine, this is fine. But when you start to actually let those inconsistencies, if you will, in what you're experiencing, be that little light that turns on for you instead, and get curious about it and say, okay, so this is not what I would like. Okay, moving on. What is it that I would like to be experiencing instead? And that can just shift you even in that.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So I am excited to tell our listeners and readers about something that you've got going on, the Inspired Women Project. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I just am very excited. I just launched my podcast, and yay. And it is a place where I am interviewing inspiring women, and it's really all about helping us women who are moms and working to be able to start to see other possibilities. So I'm interviewing other successful women who have children or who have created success in their life about what that success looks like specifically for them, what their path may have looked like, what feminine leadership looks like, how you get to be in your whole body and still be successful in your work. And I love it. I just love interviewing these women, and I love being able to bring their inspiring stories to people so that we can start to take every interview has just nuggets in it that you're like, oh yes, like I need to incorporate that, or just hearing it can start to create a little bit of a different perspective. So it's very fun.
Is awesome. Yeah, those will be some really good conversations to tune in on, because I was just thinking as you were speaking before that it's like, you know, what we need is really permission and sisterhood around this, owning that you can want something and that you can make it happen. And I think seeing other people as examples can just, it's like, okay, it's been done in the world. If it's been done in the world, that means I can do it too. So whether that's, you know, having a business that supports you full time, but you're only putting part-time hours in, like that seems like this crazy dream to a lot of people, but people are doing it. So that's possible. And just whatever it is that women have as their dream or their reality that they've created based on what is possible. I love that. I can't wait to tune in on those conversations.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So how can the heroines tuning into our interview here get more of you?
Yeah. Well, I would love to invite them or you to join me over at my website. It's realresultsmentoring.com. And when you go there, you can take advantage of a free audio class and workbook that I have available, which is really the place to be able to start to get clarity around what you want in the key areas of your life. And so it'll guide you through that. And it's called the 3 Keys to Success in Business and in Life without the stress, anxiety, and guilt. So I'd love for you to join me there. And of course, when you sign up there, then I can also share with you information about the podcast.
Awesome. That sounds perfect. And we'll make sure to have the link below in the article here so you can go straight there and grab that audio and workbook, and perfect place to start, getting clear on what you want, and then rolling it out from there. And like you said, you'll send the info on how to tune into the Inspired Woman Project, which is great. Well, that is awesome. Mikki, do you have any last words of wisdom or advice for our heroines to take away today?
Something very simple, to just breathe. I think just taking that breath and letting that be the first place, and even just having that be the reminder can let everybody take a breath right now and start to check in with what it is that they want, even in this moment. It doesn't have to be something really big, like I want to have a new house or I want to start a new business. It can just be, what do I want in this moment? What do I want for dinner? That's such a great one, because people often just let that go. Oh, whatever. Yep, that's fine. Okay, fine. Let that be your answer. But then let that be the place that you check in and get curious. Like, what if I really could have anything? What would I really want? And you'll start to see the places that you're shutting off and what the possibility is when you start to turn that back on.
Awesome. Well, I would like to propose that we do a Business Heroine day-long what do I want in this moment challenge. So I'm going to do it starting now for the next 24 hours. Just every time I'm sort of, catch myself, what do I want in this moment? And it might be go outside and feel the sun on my face. It might be eat a carrot. I don't know. So
yes, I love
we'll
it.
Find out.
I'm in.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mikki, for joining us. It was such an honor to have you here, and thank you for being who you are and doing the work that you're doing in the world.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really wonderful.
All right, and thank you, heroines, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
You have been watching Business Heroine TV for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out what's new at businessheroinemagazine.com today